Hey heroes, thanks for answering the call. Welcome back here to Heroes of the Horn. I am with Sir Matt. How's it going today, man?
Hey, it is good, man. We're going to be talking some Wheel of Time, how we think the episodes are going to go. What are they going to keep? What are they going to cut out? How are they going to kind of do it? If you go back, we posted a video a little bit ago about the Jordan Con kind of panel, right? That included
Right.
Rafe Jenkins, the showrunner, right? Who said that they have 6 episodes of the 8 of, what it would be season 1 done. So we know it's going to be 8 episodes for season 1. And then they have another season already kind of written, good to go with Amazon. So we're talking today, how far into the Eye of the World are we getting in episode 1? Where's that episode 1 endpoint? And we're going to do each of the episodes, again, and we're assuming, right, that Eye of the World is the end of season 1's the end of the first book, which may not even be the case.
Right, that may not be the case, and so again, we're kind of making predictions here on season 1, episode 1, having seen no trailer, just sort of kind of dissecting the book and maybe like what do we think they're going to do. So again, we've not seen anything. The only thing we've had is just a few conversations from Rafe Judkins, who's running the show, and that's about it. So yeah, I mean, it could end with Eye of the World. We said this in our prologue episode that they could take things from later books and start those storylines much earlier.
Absolutely. So, all right, Ez. So we did an episode where we talked about the prologue and how we think it's going to be introduced. So we're going to kind of include that in here. So this is about the point where I think it's episode 1's going to end. So I think you start episode 1, you have the prologue, and I think it's going to be doing some flashbacks showing things from ages past, and it's telling the Wheel of Time weaves and the intro, right, and as it turns and all that stuff. So as you're doing that, maybe you're showing Lews Therin and Balsamon, and using the one power and everything. So then then you cut to your episode intro, right, whatever it's going to look like. Starts with Tam and Rand out in the woods, right, where he sees the Black Rider, and I think it's going to go all the way through, meet Moraine, get the coins, all the way until chapter 8. So chapter 8 is after the Trollocs have attacked, and so Moraine heals Tam, tells Rand that he, Matt, and Perrin were the targets of the attack, and they must leave the village. So that's where I think I think that's episode 1.
Yeah, I think that's a good thought. I mean, yeah, it's like what all can you cover? I think the prologue is going to be significant, and then we're going to be introduced to. I mean, we have to start our world small, and we have to get to know, same thing that Robert Jordan did. You do have to kind of start there, learn about Rand, Matt, Perrin, Egwene, Nynaeve. That's a lot of characters to sort of develop pretty quickly and have them working together. So that's going to be interesting to see how they do that in episode 1. And at the same time, as you say, get to know Emond's Field, understand Beltane, understand like the festival that's taking place. Why Tam and Rand live where they live. Why does Rand look different? The whole thing. I mean, those are things that are going to be kind of like woven in there that we're going to have to think about. And Moraine, Lan show up, the peddler. There's a lot that goes on in everything that you just said. So all of those will be this cast of characters. We have plenty to work with, I think, in those first several chapters. So you said chapter 8 is when the Trolloc attack happens. Is that right?
No, the Trollocs attack in chapter 6. But it's chapter 8 is where they come back. Moraine heals Tam. So Tam's already been attacked. He's told Rand, his kind of fever dream where he says, we found this boy and all of this stuff. So then chapter 8 is where Moraine heals him. And it's time to go. So some of the stuff I think you could, like the village council, that's easy. It's just, boom, here's a handful of people. You don't have to introduce them. This is who this is. This is who this is. You can skip past a lot of that just by simply having them sit there. Okay, people will be like, book readers will say, oh, I know who that is. I know who that is. But you don't have to actually introduce this character as this person and stuff like that. So I would say the focus would be obviously Matt, Rand, Tam, Perrin, Egwene, Nynaeve, Lan, and then put on Peddler, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For those
yeah.
of
No.
you,
Yeah.
well, it's spoilerish, but so he actually is going to be a great character, because then he gives you, oh, this guy, there's something, maybe something going on with this guy. And so then you can kind of build that thing. And then you have the Trollocs attack, and that you go from there.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. I think, yeah, then they kind of take off on their quest, and we're like, who are these individuals? What are they up against? I mean, this whole, you have to plant the seed of mistrust of the Aes Sedai. You've got to do that quickly and understand that there's something different about these three boys. So that'll be pretty neat. And then even something different about, Nynaeve and Egwene. And yeah, I think you're right. That's a good spot. I think you can cover that in one episode in an hour pretty easily. Have the attack, show some action, because you remember you still have to go all the way back to Tam's farm with Rand, and maybe so we're gonna see that. I would imagine it's a big scene. But do you think maybe in episode 1 they might also show Matt and Perrin fighting or running or doing something?
Oh, probably.
Right? I mean, that's something we didn't really see in the book, but maybe we would see that, right?
Yeah. There's extra stuff in there that they'll add in that didn't happen in the book, or, does happen. We just don't see it, right? Because they're from certain characters' point of view. I think Tom, Maryland's going to be a huge character, because even with a couple of lines, he can do so much to really push us forward to kind of get past a lot of, this content. With the distrust of the Aes Sedai and all of that. So, I mean, there's a lot you can kind of hammer in. I mean, there's things that you can do, just with 1 second on camera, or 2 or 3 seconds, and the way you pan a camera, that can really drive a narrative that you can cut stuff from later. Right. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, what if in this first episode, when, Nynaeve stares at Lan, and it's kind of maybe he's kind of a cute kind of a thing or something, I mean, and that doesn't happen until way later in the book, but now you can start to immediately drive that idea forward, and you save you time down the road.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great idea, and that, you sort of show some of those, whatever relationships may come about, we start to see hints of that earlier on. So, yeah, I think it's a great idea. One thing I'm excited to see, I can't wait to see how they do the village council and the women's circle. I think those will be hysterical, and I think that's where you can kind of weave in some comedy, actually, and some comic relief. Just the tension between those two, and just some funny stuff that happens in the books that I think they'll have to incorporate. Master Alvear, there, and then kind of talking about Tam and always. When Tam comes into town, which is Rand's father, he's single. Carrie Althor passed away, and so who's he going to be? Are women looking at him when he comes in to the town? Type of thing. So there's a lot of cool stuff that they can do there, and I think, but again, how far does that get us? I mean, I think that's far enough for the first episode. And then once they leave, which we're going to get to later on, we'll come back with next week, the idea in episode 2, there's a lot that happens after that chapter 8 in Eye of the World that you could really probably streamline and get to pretty quickly. There's even villages and towns you can just straight bypass.
So you think episode 8, you think about roughly chapter 8 would be the perfect endpoint?
I like that because you're left on this cliffhanger that we're going to, okay, it's decided that we must go. They saddle up and they ride off. I mean, the only thing I think, if you want to do something dramatic at the end, like they're attacked and they're on the run, or someone's captured by, let's say a Fade shows up out of nowhere and it's dark or whatever, and he's got one of the, they could do something different. They could actually have one of their members captured quickly or something, and they have, and Moraine or Lan has to do something, but before they do it, boom, that's credits go, and you're like, oh, what's going to happen to her, right? And then those people who are show watchers will go and they'll look for resources and what's going to happen. You start to speculate, and this is where I think it's neat. Even though the series is done, I think you can look at this and say, what are they going to do differently? I mean, they could. I mean, I think, again, Rafe Judkins is going to keep this true to the series as much as he can, but you may have to make some big changes. Things may go a different route.
There's going to be enormous changes. I mean,
yeah, there has to be.
Yeah, there just has to be. You're right. And you remember, something we saw, in Game of Thrones, right? which I think is pretty much, I think it's the easiest kind of comparison, just because of another big, huge fantasy series on television as opposed to like Lord of the Rings, which was movies.
Right.
You know, the blending of a lot of characters, right? You know,
Yes.
Game of Thrones, they took a lot of character storylines to kind of, you know, compress them together. So we may see that here.
Mm-hmm. We may. Yes, very much so. And like in Wheel of Time, there are a lot of inns and innkeepers that you have to kind of keep track of. I think they're going to streamline all of that too. There's a common, like some of the most favorite inns that we go to, and we always end up going back there, or we flash back to them for information, or that's a gathering place. And it's not going to be so much that we move around from place to place. So that's something we'll talk about more later too. But you're right, merging of characters I think has to happen. There are thousands of them in this series, so you have to cut some. You just do. You have to merge those lines. So, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, let us know what you guys think. Where do you guys think episode 1 is going to end? What do you think is going to happen? Just kind of, you know, leave us a comment below, and, you know, we can talk about it on our podcast. So thank you guys for watching, and remember that the horn has sounded.